That said, I'm hoping for a late sword.
It seems to be the case in Entrance Shuffle quite a bit. And we see 3 of our runners starting at Link's house with a bomb upgrade, while PinkKittyRose gets 20 rupees from Sanctuary, which happens to be on the desert ledge. Recitador is making his way to farm some bombs, it looks like, while Rywek and Bali are headed towards Hyrule Castle to check what's there.
So this is going to be hard for us to catch everything. Here we go in one of the drops on Rywek's screen.
So that's good knowledge, and he knows how to get there, but unfortunately no bomb, so he'll have to come back.
Well, there's one sword on Recitador a minute in.
And that's in a very convenient location too, so all of our runners should find that pretty early on. Bali is starting his Kakariko check from the north, while Resi is going in from the south. And we have an early Hype Cave find by Bali.
Did you see where that was?
I think it was in the Bushman house. Not much value at all, just a couple of bombs, really. When we had our first map check, I saw crystals with Desert and Eastern. I didn't have enough time to catch Hera.
There we have the potion shop at the Bombable Hut in Kakariko. That's an important thing to remember, both to buy potions and turn in the mushroom.
Yeah, there are a number of single entrance caves that you often have to make note of and come back later. The potion shop is one of them. Mimic Cave, Spike Cave, Sick Kid, all of these you might have to come back to at a later point in time when you have the items needed to collect the item inside.
So I saw PinkKittyRose end up in Palace of Darkness. I'm not sure how he got there, but there are 2 bombs and a chest, so that's a real nice find early, although he didn't go for those.
Yeah, and after ending Ice Palace, ends up right in Kakariko, so that's fairly convenient.
Yeah, so it's the race game right that is the entrance to Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, we still haven't seen a lot of progression. That sword is nice, but Kakariko has not produced the goods quite yet.
The Ganon in the title means that the goal is Ganon, and that they are going to have to kill Aghanim 2 before Ganon is vulnerable.
Yep, and it also refers to Ganon, in this instance anyway, being swapped. So Ganon's tower is out there in the world somewhere. It could be vanilla, but it's most likely not, meaning our runners will have the opportunity to clear it before they collect all the items. And because of that, it's usually a pretty nice spot to go to get items. There are 20 items in Ganon's tower that are not keys and dungeon items.
I've seen several single entrances that we need to remember now. The Super Bomb and the Smiths are both in Kakariko.
Oh, and Ressi has found Meyer's shed. And the glove. That's a great find. So I'm worried because Bali started on that side of Kakariko, but he didn't check the fortune teller location yet. So I'm not sure if he skipped it or if he just started at a different spot.
So Bally is in Thieves Town. I haven't seen anything of interest in there so far.
Yep, and Ressi is continuing his sweep here. He found that the bush crabs drop bombs, so that is a pretty convenient thing to have. Bali electing just to do the first 4 in Thieves Town at this time. Not a bad idea. He only has green mail, 3 hearts, and he's missing the hammer. Even if he did successfully clear it, he could get trolled by that, and it's really hard to do with 3 hearts. He's probably looking for a better option.
I'm going to say this early. Give our trackers in particular a follow. This is much more difficult to follow 4 racers doing this than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it is very difficult, but we did see Rywek. He went back to the sanctuary drop into the sewer, got his ice rod. So that is a nice magic weapon to have. Can make a lot of things early a little bit easier. So he's going to check another drop now. He seems to have that idea that you were talking about, Hikipek, which is check those drops early, see if you can find that well.
PinkKittyRose found another drop. She got a bottle from the uncle, and PinkKittyRose has found Ganon's tower now. It's on Death Mountain somewhere. I didn't see exactly where.
That bottle is great because Ressi has found Sick Kid, I believe, in the Lumberjack house. I'm watching Bali very carefully right now to make sure they go to that fortune teller shop. PinkKittyRose found Spiral Cave.
Yeah, Rywek is on the path she was on, so I expect him to find it. Well, there it is. One thing I'm surprised that none of the players are really doing is establishing the loops. What I like to do in this mode is I like to go in and out over and over and see what sets of things are all together. And that makes it sort of easier to remember how to get to places I've seen before.
Yeah, and the one advantage for Madness over, say, Insanity is that in the light world, there's only one entrance that's connected that you might not be able to get back into. And PinkKittyRose is walking by that right now. It's the Agate Tower Vanilla entrance. So every other one in the light world, you can get right back in. Rywek has found the uncle. And PinkKittyRose is electing to do a dark room. And she has the old man, so that great dark room. And vanilla mirror.
Well, as I said, that's one of the more important items, so we're going to want to see when these other racers get that.
So at this point, we've seen a good number of dungeons. The one interesting thing is I don't think I've seen any of the multi-entrance dungeons, meaning the Front of Desert, Hyrule Castle, or Turtle Rock. So I wonder if they're all into Dark World. The one tricky thing about this category versus others is like Simple and Full. In Simple and Full, you can scout out what's behind the lumberjack tree. In Madness and Insanity, you can't. You can just rule out the drops that you're missing. So unless you check every single drop, you'll never know what's behind that lumberjack tree. Yeah, Sarah Zelda, the pedestal can easily be required. Just a matter of what the pendants are and what items we're missing.
Yeah, we may not know that Aghanim is required until someone beats Ganon Tower in Aghanim 2, and is able to infer that the only drop left is something they need.
PinkKittyRose has found Tower of Hera. If it's not fire locked, they can complete it. But it is.
So I think someone in chat said that someone has the lamp. I don't see it marked anywhere. Do we know who that was or where they got it?
So, interestingly, Resi is still the only one with a power glove. It's in the fortune teller shop, which is right north of Kakariko. Bali was pretty close to there, but didn't make it there. I don't think PinkKittyRose or Rywek were actually close to there. They've been focusing on the connected entrances for the most part. But that, it depends. That could troll some of our runners for a while at this point. Bali has found the back of Skull Woods.
In this mode, you can complete Skull Woods with a lamp and a relatively simple bomb jump. We'll see if anyone's able to do that. Bali won't be able to do that either with a lamp or a sword.
Yeah, it's a sequence break in the logic, but it's almost every regular entrance shuffle runner will just do it that way whenever they find Skull Woods, because it's really simple, and it reduces your backtracking, so it's a nice little trick to know. And PinkKittyRose is about to get their glove.
So Rywek is going to complete Thieves Town without the hammer. I haven't been counting items, so I don't know if he's going to be able to full clear it or not. So PinkKittyRose just found Spectacle Rock. One exit people often forget about is falling down Spectacle Rock. That could be an exit you need to get somewhere.
Yeah, the one of the nuances of this mode is there are some entrances that you can only get to by exiting. So in the light world, a good example of that is the right side of desert. The only way you can enter that entrance is by exiting another exit. So it could be the case that you actually have to go all the way through Spectacle Rock Cave, exit at the bottom, and enter into the right side of desert to a required dungeon. That's completely within the logic.
One other pitfall in this mode is that you get used to seeing these giant loops of dungeons and multiple entrances, but it can happen that a single entrance and exit link together. So I've found the Uncle Drop entrance and exit both at Swamp, so you have to remember what places you haven't been.
Yep, just because they can, exit a different place doesn't mean it will. So it can, that could be one of the trolliest things of all in this mode. Rywek did have a very solid blind fight. Stayed mostly on script, a little bit off on phase 3, but no problems whatsoever, and got him down with ease. And we can see clearly that Rywek does have the lamp, and he's about to get his mirror, so he's making some good progress here. And Bali's about to get his glove.
PinkKittyRose is doing one of my least favorite rooms, even when I have lots of stuff. She's doing it with 6 hearts and green tunic.
Yeah, and doing it pretty well, really.
The mirror just happens to be vanilla in this seed.
And this does mean that the second part of Skullwoods is in the light world. So that means there are 2 entrances and exits and 1 drop connected to that. Oh, and we see the right side of desert, which is just the bottom of Spiral Cave. So nothing missed there.
So Recitador just found Mimic Cave at the Mini Moldorm entrance. That's something they're going to have to mark down and come back with the hammer in case there's anything important in there.
Yeah, it's always a little... it's sometimes hard to remember, especially for the single entrances, and the one that gets me a lot is Hookshot Cave. When I find the Hookshot really late, I just always forget to go back there right away.
Yes, I have forfeited races to that.
So Ressi has found a glove-blocked graveyard ledge cave, but just 10 arrows.
So something new to the entrance randomizer in the last few versions is bunny logic. Since right now the Moon Pearl hasn't shown up, it's possible that they will need to get into the Dark World via the East Death Mountain rock with the mitts, and go into that multiple entrance Dark Death Mountain Ascent entrance, and take a long journey in the Dark World somewhere to find the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, that would certainly be interesting to see. I have not had a seed yet that I've played that's had the required bunny logic, but I know quite a few of them have been out there, so it would be great to see one. Bali's taking that lamp to do a deeper dive in the pod, so we'll see if we see anything interesting here.
No, for those who missed it, Madness in particular is this decoupled entrance mode, but it does not have fake dark and light worlds. Yeah, there have been soft locks, especially, well, there's the Moon Pearl. Some Recitador just found the Moon Pearl in Blind's hideout. I didn't see where that was.
Ah, Sahashila's hut.
Yeah, so there have been soft locks in some of these more exotic entrance modes. There were some soft locks recently with the bunny logic.
Oh man, I'm gonna interrupt you, but we just saw Vanilla Hammer on Bali's stream.
Ooh, that's pretty bad. But that does give us Dark World access. We have the glove, we have the hammer, and we have the Moon Pearl somewhere. Nobody has all those things. Yeah, so the soft locks, there have been some. At this point, what we're playing with seems pretty mature, so I'd be very surprised if there were a soft lock in this seed.
So it seems very likely that, based on what we've seen so far, the next progression might be in the Dark World, and our runners just have to piece together the parts of the Light World that they have not yet seen. Although we do have the lamp now for Hera, so we could have a progression item here.
We have seen Ice Palace, but we have just recently found the hammer. Nobody has been... And nobody has the Fire Rider Bombos to get in there anyway.
Yeah, and likewise, we've seen Swamp, but we have not yet seen the dam or have flippers. So Rywek's on his way to his second crystal, so he'll be leading in the crystal count, assuming all goes well here. But interestingly, he's our only runner without any of the pieces of Dark World access.
Yeah, and with the hammer in the very back of Pod, it could be quite a while before anyone else gets to that. Bally may end up with the lead shortly if he starts getting in the Dark World and finding what we think is the progression. So that was Master Sword for Rywek in Hera.
Which importantly does open up an entrance.
Yeah, I think we've seen... Oh, and there's Flute. So I think we've seen someone exit that Aghanim's Tower entrance, but now going through the loops in the Light World is completely safe for Rywek.
And Pink Kitty is doing bunny Dark World single entrances here. You know, honestly, even with the Moon Pearl available, this is not a bad move because one, the bunny logic is in play, and two, oftentimes you can just check these off the list if they're not important. But there is one that they'll have to come back to.
Yeah, and if this is a cave that you could do as a bunny. If Pink Kitty happened to have the green pendant, talking to Sahasrahla and getting his item is one of the things you can do as a bunny.
The Moon Pearl was in Blind's hut, which is in the vanilla Sahasrahla's hut location.
So there's a question about how long these seeds usually take. I don't know. This mode doesn't get run very often. A lot of people prefer to play Insanity. This could be a high variance depending on what the loops are, but I would expect over 2.5 hours for our first finish probably.
Yeah, it really just depends on how the items line up, but the exploration part of this mode can certainly cause it to extend the time to complete. But Resi is now making progress in Pod, so it's very possible he'll get that hammer soon and be our first to Dark World access.
So there are questions in chat about the fake light and dark worlds. The short answer is that it's complicated. Generally what Insanity mode does, which allows fake and dark light world, it gives you the Moon Pearl and Mirror right away, because you're going to have to resolve issues to deal with that. You often have to mirror to make sure that you are in the dark world, but it's hard to explain, and someone else should do it when there's an Insanity seed with a commentator who's played it before.
Yeah, I've played Insanity. I still don't understand the fake worlds that much. always screen transition and lose my world, and then mutter under my breath and go move on. That's pretty much my experience with Insanity. We'll be seeing what Sir Hashel is hiding in his hut here very shortly. Rywek has the super bomb. That's interesting. So Hera and Thieves Town were 5 and 6. I think our writers are slowly but surely each running out of things to do in the light world. So they will, before you know it, find their dark world access. It's just a matter of who gets there first. And I'm wondering if Rywek is stuck because he does not yet have that glove. So hopefully that is not something that is trolling him, but I'm kind of worried with how long he was sitting on his menu.
He's asking an IRC about the logic. I'm going to see if I can answer it.
We have seen Agate Tower and we have the lamp. So maybe it's also possible that Bali just did a key use choice that got him the hammer, but it might not actually be the intended Dark World access. Because with Agate Tower there and the Moon Pearl and a sword, there is a path to the Dark World. And I say that because I know Resi left Pod, and that wouldn't make sense unless he was locked out. I mean, he might have just decided not to continue, but if he was locked out, then that becomes very interesting. And Rywek is making the play on Agate Tower. So as I was saying, like, this might actually be required by the logic, because just because Bali has a hammer doesn't mean it wasn't just the key choice that got him that hammer when he got it. He could have been a case where he could key lock himself from the back. Now Rywek does not yet have the Moon Pearl. But we might see him going around as a bunny a little bit in the Dark World to try to find something, which will be a fun. And since we have his audio, we'll get that nice, hype bunny music. question in chat about quick swap. Quick swap is a method by which you can right-click, or not right-click, use your L and R buttons and swap your items to the next item in the menu. So it's really convenient. It's, however, only available on the entrance shuffle application. The Moon Pearl, again, is at Blind's Hut, which is in the vanilla Sahashila's Hut location.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rywek's question was about the bunny logic, and the question is whether you can be forced to take the super bomb through the castle portal after defeating Aghanim 1 as a bunny. And the honest answer is I don't know. I would think the bunny logic could allow that, but it's also possible that the super bomb will not follow you as a bunny and that it despawns.
That's actually a great question. I have no idea. So the one thing that might work in his favor, though, if he doesn't do that immediately, he could hop off the pyramid and go check entrances to the right and find his Moon Pearl if he mirrors to Sahashila's Hut. I'm still really interested to find out if Bali's hammer was a key choice sequence break or the intended progression, or if Aga Tower is the actual intended progression.
There are a couple of things you can do as a bunny. You can talk to NPCs and get their item. So that's Sahasrahla, that is Hype Cave. We've already found both of those. You can also get the items out of the Checkerboard Cave and the Hammer Peg Cave. Both of those items are freestanding, and you can get to them as a bunny.
So Bali is a couple seconds away from getting his Dark World access. So PinkKittyRose, in the meantime, has caught up on the crystal count of Rywek. Still looking for that Dark World access, still looking for the Moon Pearl. It does look like Rywek is following through with the plan to buy the super bomb.
Interesting to note that you can flute with the super bomb. Rywek appears not to know that. So Bali has finally entered the Dark World, not as a bunny. So he's our first player there. So with the Super Bunny logic I was talking about, it could be possible that it is required to walk over to the pod area to any of 3 different single entrances.
All right, and hopefully he mirrors and checks their Hashula's hut, and he'll be happy to find that moon pearl. Meanwhile, PinkKittyRose found their moon pearl. It'll be interesting to see what they do, if they go directly to Aga Tower or if they go back to pod before that. And if nothing else, Rywek is treating us to the hype bunny music for a little while.
So Rywek's about to get to the Flute 5 screen, which is a nightmare to navigate as a bunny with green tunic.
He handled it very well, though. He finds King's Tomb, but he can't actually do anything with it.
I actually think you might be able to Super Bunny to open that chest.
Yeah, I hope he gives it a try. The glove was in the vanilla fortune teller north of Kakariko. It was a Meyer shed.
Rywek did think to mirror, so he should be in this area, and he should end up at Sahasra. Well, he should end. Yeah, there we go. He should be on the path to the Moon Pearl.
So given that we see PinkKittyRose doing Aga Tower with that Moon Pearl, I'm willing to bet that it was a key choice sequence break that really worked out in Bali's favor to let him skip Aga for now. It's still possible that Aga's required for Lumberjack Cave, but at this point he was able to skip it by using his keys a certain way in pod. Let's get a little bit close for Rywek there, but he did make it in here with 1 heart, and he's picking up his Moon Pearl.
Looks like Rywek is also going to farm money, maybe for the entrance to pod, maybe for the digging game, something like that.
Yeah, I guess since he's already over here with the Dark World portal nearby, his mirror spot, he'll just hop back in and he's planning to check the entrance. It's a little dangerous with his 1 heart, but hopefully he'll be able to pull off his plan here.
So Bali is on West Death Mountain with the hammer. If he wanted to, he could go into Ganon's Tower, which is in one of these entrances, and do a significant amount of the... Well, he could get to the Stalfos room with a couple of bomb jumps. It'd be difficult to go further without the hookshutter boots.
Yep, that's another sequence break that comes in handy in Entrance Randomizer. Just 2 short bomb jumps to get up to the Stalfos room. Get some quick items, checks while you're there. We're seeing a map check of the Dark World, and we see confirming that Crystal 5 was Thieves Town, Green Pendant Skull, and red and blue were Ice and Mire, I believe. So PinkKittyRose is opting to go north first and check the single entrance here and Catfish. One thing to note in Entrance Randomizer, the locations that have like guaranteed items, things like Catfish, the Stump Kid, the Digging Game, those have increased value because you could go a long way with not finding an item if you're just checking entrances. But when you know there's a place you can go and just find an item, it's certainly a good place to head to, and that's what PinkKittyRose is doing here.
Yeah, and in entrance, there are 3 single entrances in the Dark World area where the Ice Rod Cave is. Usually what I do is, after checking Catfish, I do a fake or real flipper through that water portal to that area. The fake flipper, which you would have to do, is very dangerous because those floating bombing thingies like to kill you in the water.
Yeah, that's a very hard fake flipper. Basically, you'll get like right up towards the ladder and you'll get bombed. Like, it happens a lot, but if you can pull it off, it's a good way to go with this route. Barley checking out the Digging Game. So it looks to me like Resi wants to check Zora before he does anything else. He still hasn't found his lamp, but he does have everything he needs to do Aga Tower, even without having Hera completed. Now, having the Master Sword to make that Aga Tower climb a lot easier, so hopefully he does that first, but if he doesn't, he can still get to the Dark World.
Unfortunately, it looks like the racers, other than Bali, are avoiding Palace of Darkness, which is where the critical hammer is. So Bali could open up a pretty large lead if that hammer is going to lead to something important. So it looks like we have Paradox Cave on Rywek's screen here in the Dark World somewhere, and he's got the book out of it.
So Rywek finds his first glove. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be the second for every one of our other runners here. So that will be helpful. Now, the good news is there's a small chance that mitts aren't required. It happens sometimes in the full plus shuffle modes where you don't ever need the mitts. If that's the case, then he's in good shape. But if the mitts end up being required, it could be a little bit rough for him.
So the screen Rywek is on has a drop. Yeah, and he's going for it. This is a drop that people can forget.
So Rywek conveniently gets placed at Ganon's tower right after finding his book. So we'll get to see what's on either tablet right away.
So PinkKittyRose is doing the unfortunate thing that we saw someone else do. She's going to key lock herself out of the back of Pod and not be able to get her hammer without finding the bow first.
Yep, so we saw for ourselves there that definitely is an intended Aga Tower by the logic.
Yeah, Aghanim is technically confirmed required here, I think, because that second glove was in the Dark World, and there's no other way to get to the Dark World. Although it could be that the bow is in the Light World somewhere that we haven't seen.
It's possible, but I can't think of any place where our runners didn't go with what they had available. So we're about to get our first check of Zora. Rusty farmed up the money for that. I guess this would be something in the light world, but it's just some money.
One thing that is allowed is that you can reset your console or use the equivalent feature on your emulator. So if you farm up the money for Zora, save and quick just before, you can reset if Zora doesn't give you something you want and keep the money.
So I think what's holding up Rusty is he missed the lamp somewhere, and I think I missed it all 3 times it was found, but wherever that is where he needs to go.
Resty was very displeased when he in fact bought the lamp from the bottle vendor and left him some bombs as payment.
Oh, yep, there we go. So now I think he'll put it together that Aga Tower is required, but maybe he will do Hera first. That would be great for him. It's a crystal, and he'll get the Master Sword. And the flute, for that matter. But nope, he's just heading straight to Aga Tower, which I don't blame him at all. He probably feels a little bit behind, and he knows that this is probably the Dark World access at this point, so...
So Chad is saying, I think that Bali has found the mushroom somewhere. It's an interesting decision whether he wants to keep that mushroom and wait for Samaria to try to do a fake powder glitch, or whether he wants to turn it in right away if he remembers where the potion shop was.
I don't know if we've seen the Bat Cave yet either. I think we're missing that plus the well. And also maybe the lumberjack cave, come to think of it.
I saw the front of the lumberjack cave in the dark world. I believe it was at the swamp entrance, but I did not see the item.
So Bali is behind on the dungeon progression, but he's about to get the Titan's Mitts and the book as well. He's going to have a good lead with the items here, it seems. Although PinkKittyRose is right there too, so yeah, it's hard to say, but we're certainly getting a bulk of items now. Still not a lot of dungeons we can do anything with the items we found, but yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, getting this exploration done. So the way this randomizer works is that the single entrance caves are shuffled amongst themselves, and the multi-entrance caves, entrances and exits are shuffled amongst themselves. So you can't enter the single entrances and end up in a dungeon, nor can you enter a dungeon entrance and end up in Blind's Hut. And the primary reason why they don't randomize that is because of the way the original game was programmed. You'd actually have to my understanding, recode a lot of the original game to allow single entrance caves to put you in dungeons and vice versa.
Well, funny you should mention that. Right now, Amazing Amphros and Kevin Cathcart, who are right now the maintainers of the Entrance Randomizer, are working on fixing that partially. They won't fix it so that madness works with any entrance, any which way. The single entrance caves will not be able to participate as part of these big loops we've been talking about. But they will fix the overworld portion of it, so that single entrance caves can move anywhere, including to what were multi-entrance caves. I don't know when they're going to finish that. I have seen them working on it, and I have seen them find bugs in it. So we'll see how soon that happens, but it should make modes like the full shuffle especially much more complicated.
So we have Bali finding Laser Bridge of Turtle Rock, and we have PinkKittyRose finding Hyrule Castle and doing Escape. So we are finding these multi-entrance dungeons in the Dark World, it looks like. The Rywek appears to be doing his own rupee farm for probably Zora.
So one of the interesting things about Light World dungeons in the Dark World is that certain enemies are really just the same enemy but different in each world. So PinkKittyRose is about to enter the sewer with rats and snakes. Since this is in the Dark World, the snakes and rats will both do two full hearts of damage if she had green tunic. She has blue, so they'll do 1 heart, but they're going to hit much harder than you'd be used to.
Yeah, so doing dark sewer chests, if it's in the Dark World, not usually a great play. It's very dangerous. And apparently they haven't done the drop, the Vanilla Fairy cave drop, so just going on through to the back and getting the items there makes sense. Now, interestingly, if they were to exit into Sanctuary, this is the one instance in non-insanity where you could get a fake world, but no one would ever do that. There's no real reason to do that.
Yeah, in this mode, the single entrance dam is somewhere in the world. It could be in the dark world. Once you drain it, the front of swamp stays flooded and the area around the dam exterior stays drained. As far as I know, we have not found the dam yet. Bali is about to check the big chest in Thieves' Town that Rywek had to skip. Money's okay.
Yeah, most of all, he gets peace of mind, which is pretty invaluable. And now we do have desert too, so all 3 multi-entrance dungeons in the dark world.
So one of the early finds was the Desert Final. Nobody was able to do anything with it because probably no one had a fire source and they definitely didn't have the big key. But PinkKittyRose can now go to the light world somewhere, wherever it was, and finish Desert.
Yeah, and depending on what's on the big chest, Lambo might have an item. We'll see here in a second. He does.
Oh, and I think I just saw Bombos on the Lake Hylia Island for Rywek.
We see PinkKittyRose on the Turtle Rock ledge here. It's a very important spot in any of the entrance shuffle modes. Knowing the way to get here, and we have an item cave at Mimic Cave, so we'll see what's hiding out here. And we got silvers. So interestingly, PinkKittyRose elected to leave Turtle Rock at that point, but there were actually a couple chests that they could get to even without the Cane of Samaria from that entrance. So from that spot, you can get the vanilla big key chest, and you can also get to the chain chomp chest even without having the big key. If you have the big key, you can get one more. You can go and get the chest in the roller room.
Yeah, and that's, well, in this mode it could be required to do that. It could be required that the... Actually, no, that's not possible. Never mind. They have found the laser bridge, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, the navigation of Turtle Rock based on what entrances are available is always a fun thing in Entrance Shuffle. It's one of my favorite things about it.
It's important in key sanity because you can save keys taking the route you described.
Oh, and Bali has found Mini Moldorm Cave, the last of our 5-item caves. And using the Ice Rod...
Yeah, it's too bad if they all found a sword so soon. The Ice Rod's a very interesting first weapon. And there's the hook shot.
Yeah, great find for Bali. So we'll see how long it takes him to get back to Hookshot Cave. I know how long it would take me, probably another hour from now.
If I remember correctly, Hookshot Cave was somewhere easy in the light world, maybe one of the Kakariko entrances.
Yeah, more importantly than just Hookshot Cave, that hookshot gives access to the entire left side of Ganon's tower. So now is the time when you're like, okay, it's time to go. And a lot of people are probably intimidated by the Ganon's Tower basement, you know, with low percent stuff. And actually, I would say Bali isn't that low percent anymore. But to me, it's actually easier than, say, Misery Mire or Ice Palace or Turtle Rock with nothing.
Yeah, the Ice Armos can be a tricky fight without the bow. And that is our big mystery right now, where the bow is. Because at least 2 of our racers are locked out of the hammer until they find the bow, which is in pod. Bali used his keys differently, so he was able to effectively sequence break to the hammer.
Rusty is about to get his mirror.
And that's unfortunate that he's finding this so late.
Definitely is, but he's on the right path now. I think he'll be making steady progress from here on out. He's just ended up getting a little bit behind because of that lamp. And Rywek is working on what you were talking about before, which is the Dark World Fake Flipper.
Yeah, to do this, you have to get on the far left pixel, but you also have to hold up and left instead of just left. It's different than the fake flipper. Oh, there he goes. It's different than the fake flipper to Zora in the light world.
So now we get to see how difficult this is and how he handles it. Depends on the RNG.
Oh, he's going for Bombos.
That's an okay play. He got sniped. That's unfortunate. And PinkKittyRose is following up on what you pointed out just a few moments ago, which is Landmo is now completable for her, and let's go get that crystal and see what the item is. Unfortunately, Master Sword only Landmo is not that good, but she did find that Ice Rod by going all the way through Escape, so Ice Rod with half magic, not so bad.
And PinkKittyRose is demonstrating that the Ice Rod does just as much damage to Landmolus as the Fire Rod, but the projectile is slower and has a weird hitbox, so nobody uses it if they have a better weapon.
Just some bombs, but we do pick up the 3rd crystal, so PinkKittyRose is making steady progress through the seed here. And Rusty about to get his flute and Master Sword, as well as his 2nd crystal.
So Bali right now is leveraging that hammer, is able to, and what it has led to, and is able to check entrances that other people won't be able to for a while. Hookshot was in Mini Moldorm Cave. I forget where that entrance was.
I think it was the bomb shop and vanilla entrance.
Bali is checking another single entrance that's often forgotten by people who are new to this mode, or any entrance mode for that matter. The Red Shield Shop.
So Rywek's about to pick up his hook shot. I wonder if he'll continue like Bali is and check the dark overworld, or he was pretty confident going into Thieves Town without much. He might just go straight to GT pretty soon here.
And Rywek's on the screen with another entrance that's often forgotten by newer players.
Wow.
Oh, there we go.
So the potion shop, just holding the boots. So that mushroom turns out to be a big find. So a good way to think about Ganon's Tower in this mode is basically three separate dungeons. The left side of the basement requires hammer plus hookshot. The right side of the basement requires cane plus fire rod, or you could sequence break with lamp. And the top climb of the dungeon requires bow plus hookshot to finish.
Also a fire source.
Also a fire source, which that's very, very easy to forget sometimes. So triple dips into Ganon's Tower are not uncommon. If you want to count checking the first two chests, quadruple dips are not that uncommon either. But there are also times in Entrance Shuffle where you'll get, say, the cane and fire rod and go to Ganon's Tower, and then by the time you complete the right side, you have found the hammer and the hookshot. So then you do the left side, and then you found the bow, and you can just do it all at once.
So Bali has the frog with him. One of the important things to remember is where the smiths were. I believe he's going to the correct location, which is the... Yeah, there... Come on. Yeah, there we go. This, I think, is correct, but otherwise, you cannot get rid of the frog with the exception of picking up Kiki. Kiki will overwrite the frog, and having the frog prevents you from going in any multiple entrance cave, so You want to know where the smiths are before you pick up the frog.
The fact that was 3 bombs is good news for Rywek. We do not yet have confirmation that the mitts are required. So it looks like Rusty is farming a few more rupees, probably to pay for the things that are left here. He just unlocked the super bomb. I don't think he's opened the pod entrance. I don't think he's done the digging game yet either. So he had no money, and there were some things he wanted to do, work into his route. So he's just getting the money ahead of time. It's a smart play.
Yeah, and right now, Bally, although he has a bunch of items, he has not been back. Oh, well, he just got Cane of Samaria, which was in the purple chest. That's valuable.
Yeah, it's bad news for Rywek, but continue.
What Bally really needs to do is get back to Tower of Hera and complete it for his Master Sword and Flute. He'll be able to check this tablet, but not get it without the Master Sword.
Right, and having the mitts, the entire Mire area is also open.
So Rywek got himself back to one of the entrances of Hookshot Cave and found Tempered Sword inside. Yeah, chat's asking about what dungeon we've seen. Is actually very interesting that we've not seen at least 2 of them. I don't think we've seen Mire, and we've not seen Eastern Palace. Usually by now you would expect to have seen at least all of the dungeons.
Yeah, so some good suspect locations. We have the back of Skull Woods vanilla location. We don't yet have the fire rod, so something could be hiding out back there. Mire is a pendant, so it could be sitting in... Oh no, Rywek just found Mire, never mind. And Bali is making the play on left side Ganon's Tower basement. And we have our first medallion, Ether, which is some of the other locations where our missing dungeon of Eastern Palace could be. It could be in one of the Turtle Rock or Mire vanilla locations.
Yeah, we've seen somebody exit the main Turtle Rock entrance, but of course it's going to be a different place if you go back in, so that could easily be Eastern. So Bali is doing right now the left side of Ganon's Tower that no one else can do because they don't have the hammer. We suspect strongly that the hammer is bow-locked, so he shouldn't find the bow here. But he could find something that no one else will for quite a while.
And one possibility, he could find the bow in Bob's chest or Ice Armos if the fire rod is available somewhere. Because it could be intended that you go down the right side, but it should definitely not be in Rando Room. Got some powder, though, which is a nice safety item, a good find. It'll allow him to refill his hearts right before Ice Armos. Oh, we found flippers. That's a pretty nice find.
Bali is trying to decide what weapon he wants to use against Ice Armos. The fighter sword and the hammer actually do the same amount of damage, I believe. So what he really ought to do is use the fighter sword. Ice Armos is weird in that it actually takes less damage from the Master Sword class. So what he doesn't want to do is spin attacks. The slashes and pokes actually do more damage to Ice Armos.
Yeah, and in his arsenal right now, he does have blue potions and the cane. The cane is actually a pretty fine weapon. You can hit multiple Armos per explosion, and since it does fighter sword damage, it's pretty nice that way. He also has a few bombs, and the bombs can, when they group up and line up, you can hit 3 or 4 at a time.
Well, the question is, which cane do you mean? Both are actually pretty effective.
Oh, yeah. So the blue cane is actually my favorite weapon for Ice Armos. So if I were him, I would have actually just used the blue potion and done a nice blue cane strat here.
Well, he is using a cane.
Now the rods are a nice weapon if he had some magic left. You can kill an Armos in 6 shots, but if I'm like at a low percent situation and I just have like the rods and say the hammer, I'll just slowly take him down with the hammer and then use the rod on the red one so I can just, get through that phase safely. And we have the fire rod behind Ice Armos, so that's really interesting. That means it's also bow locked.
Yeah, that really amplifies Bali's lead at this point, because no one else can get there to the end without the fire rod.
Yeah, it's just I think that PinkKittyRose is catching up. It's just a matter of PinkKittyRose is probably going to get filtered towards the bow sometime soon. Will Bali get there the same way, or will Bali end up getting trolled by the bow because of that sequence break?
Volley right now is showing off a glitch where you can use the cape and grab a wall, and it will not drain your magic while it's active, and you're holding the wall. The right side of Ganon's tower logically requires Fire Rod and the Cane of Samaria. You can do a bomb jump and use the lamp to light this torch on the left here. But that's a very difficult bomb jump, and you have to have practiced it really to do it. And I really only expect one player in the race who's not on the screen here to know how to do that.
So I guess the good news for our other runners is that all of them will have the bow when they face Sice Armos. And PinkKittyRose is running out of locations. Meyer is fully clearable, even though it's a pendant, so it does not seem like a bad play to come in here and try to see what items they can find. They've done a lot of the overworld in the Dark World and had done a pretty thorough job with Light World as well, so checking the items in here makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Bali, I believe, did hammer jump, but he used his keys differently to get to the back at all. All the other runners are hard locked out of the back of Pod without the bow. They're going to have to go to the right and get a key.
And Bali has fully cleared the basement. So Ganon's Tower had flippers, it had Fire Rod, it had the shovel, ether. Anything else? Powder?
I mean,
quite a few possibilities.
That sounds like plenty of value. Did you want it to have more?
No, that seems great, but it's just a question of what do you do now? If you're Bali, you can check the back of Skull killing Mothula. That seems reasonable. That you could get Sarhashala's green pendant item. Now Rusty has his boots. I think that missing mitts is starting to really affect Rywek's routing here. He can do Turtle Rock. That's a good point. I don't know if we've seen the big key yet. He might actually have to backtrack to the beginning. Also don't know if we've seen the front entrance. So you might have to actually backtrack to the beginning to get the big key.
Oh, well, he must be preparing to do a dungeon if he's filling up on magic and going to the potion shop here.
And the pedestal is dead. Pink Kitty Rose just gave us our pedestal check, and we just have some couch cash. Rywek is doing... Yep, go ahead.
It looks like he's going backwards through Turtle. I didn't see where he came in, and it doesn't look like he's taking the path that you would normally take. Recitador is going to give us a look at this drop. Ooh, and it leads to the magic bat. That's interesting.
So the one drop we haven't seen yet is the well.
Have we seen all of the Skull Woods drops?
I'm not sure, actually.
Well, if we have, that means the well is at the pyramid drop. That means you're going to have to defeat Ganon's Tower to get to it. That's increases the value significantly of the upstairs Ganon's Tower.
It would also prevent the bow from being there. So, starting to run out of places where the bow could be, I think. And it looks like Pink Kitty Rose is going to try the sequence break here, and is going to be rewarded with the fire rod if they make it all the way past Ice Armos. I don't think they know the setup. In order to do this, the first step is going into the top room and resetting your respawn point.
Oh, and Recitador found the dam somewhere. Oh, that's at the bonk rocks.
Man, it really just comes down to where is the bow at this point. The whole seed pretty much opens up at that once you find that bow.
I don't think anyone's shown us the medallion for Meyer, but we know that the Turtle Rock required medallion is Ether.
We have Butter Sword for Rywek out of Turtle Rock in one of the chests he could get to.
We have Bali at the Spike Cave in the Dark World Shopping Mall. And this is another location that the hammer that only he has will get him.
Now there is a nice way to exit this cave. You can get hook speed or spin speed off of those stairs and use the blue cane. And just run out. It doesn't look like Bali knows that trick, but you can get out with just using a fraction of the magic bar that way. We still have no signs from Rywek that he has any idea that he missed the Light World Fortune Teller. We know for sure that the cane is blocked by the mitts, so with Turtle Rock being a crystal, that is a required item. Although he did finally pick up his mushroom, so first step to boots. But he did not mirror while he was there, which is, yeah, he just does not know that he did not check the Light World fortune teller.
Yep. With the entrance I saw in IRC, I only saw a few people who I know have played this several times at least. I would not be surprised to see several forfeits in this race.
Yeah, your first couple times playing, it's really easy to just get tripped up by something that you haven't seen before, like being forced to mirror to an entrance or a single entrance that you just didn't even know existed, just things like that. Oh, Rywek has found the well.
That is in the far right south drop in the Skull Woods area.
But not any value. A question on these swords. Rywek's Tempered Sword was in Hookshot Cave, and his Butter Sword is in the Roller Room in Turtle Rock. The one Bali is missing is in Hera.
Yeah, right now it's looking likely that progression is in the Mire area somewhere, so Bali's going to be stopped until he can get back to Hera. So the chat is making the kind of inferences you need to be able to make to play these modes and do the right things. Bombos is blocked by the flippers. The fire rod is blocked by the hammer. The hammer is blocked by the bow. The bow, therefore, cannot be inside Swamp anywhere. Or it cannot be inside Ice Palace anywhere, because both the fire items are indirectly blocked by the bow.
Very true. So, like you said, the Mire area is one of the places that our runners without the hammer have access to that they haven't checked. It certainly seems likely that it might be one of those 4 single entrances they can check over in that area. Where I don't think we've seen the desert front door. Has anybody popped out there yet?
I think I saw someone pop out there. I don't know if they went back in. I don't remember exactly where Hera is, but it's somewhere easy in the Light World. Maybe on East Death Mountain. So Bala is going to open the front of Turtle Rock. This is one of the candidates for our missing Eastern Palace.
So unfortunately for PinkKittyRose, they went to the right first, towards the front of Turtle Rock, and they ran out of keys. So then they went all the way to Laser Bridge on the left, and now they're going back to the entrance so that they can get the first couple chests, which is also a potential spot for the bow. And PinkKittyRose did pick up the Tempered Sword here in Turtle Rock. Oh no. But we do have a fairy.
Yeah, chat's bringing up some more locations that are interesting. The back of Skull Woods can only be opened by the fire rod, which is bow and hammer and something.
Here's that bow.
There it is. So PinkKittyRose got the bow in the front portion of Turtle Rock. I'm not sure what was required to get there. I didn't see the key layout. That makes a big difference.
Oh no. They also ran out of magic before being able to check anything else. Oh no, well, I guess they couldn't get the fire rod spot anyway. Yeah, so the great news for Bali is that is a place that he's likely to check fairly soon. Based on his inventory, he has all the items he needs to fully clear out Turtle Rock, so it's just a matter of time before he makes it there. So the bow could have been in a place that would end up trolling him, but I don't think it will. I should probably knock on wood there, though.
So Recitador is in the Mire area, and he's going to check some single entrances that are also popular to forget when you're new to this mode. And the medallion required for the Mire entrance is Quake. That's another candidate for Eastern Palace.
So for those of you that are used to watching, say, open mode runs, we're at the 145 mark here, coming up anyway. About when the open mode runs are usually, wrapping up for the top runners. I'm going to say that based on PinkKittyRose just finding the bow, we're going to start seeing them make a lot of rapid progress. It's still going to be a little while before we find the end of this seed, but I think the path is going to start unfolding for PinkKittyRose pretty soon here, and they're going right to pod. It looks like, maybe.
No, she isn't. She actually ended up exiting at the race game right, and if you go in there, that's pod. She did not go in. She fluted away.
Maybe something else on her mind. Or maybe.
Maybe she just wanted magic. No, here she goes.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting because I would expect a quick succession of a full clear of pod and then a full clear of Ganon's Tower. Left, then right, then the climb.
So Bali is in Turtle Rock. This is where the bow is, but he needs to take the correct path.
So Bali actually finds his Master Sword here in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and if he clears the laser bridge, he should have all the keys in Turtle Rock. He should be able to get to the front with the bow.
Yeah, and I think you might actually have to backtrack to get to the front of Turtle Rock. Potentially. I know I haven't seen anybody enter it yet. I might just not have been paying attention, but it's possible that it's locked even behind, say, Ganon's Tower.
How dare you miss something on one of these 4 screens?
Right?
Well, unfortunately, he's making the wrong play. But he does eventually need to do this. He needs to kill Trinex, but this will spit him out the front, and he won't be able to get back into Turtle Rock from wherever it spits him out.
Yeah, so the bow might be trolling him for a little bit while longer. Oh, so PinkKittyRose was planning on leaving, and now he just realizes, oh, I could have probably finished Pod at that point. And yep, you're going right back in to finish it. Makes sense. That's the thing that happens all the time. You're like, okay, as soon as I do this check, I'm gonna go do this, and then you don't change your mind when the item you get should have changed your mind in time to fix what you were going to do. Bali is using Master Sword here on the last phase of Trinex. Gets him down. And Bali is finally collecting a few crystals. He's up to 2 now. PinkKittyRose on the way to her 4th. And Rywek is getting his 3rd.
So PinkKittyRose's next move, she needs to go to Ganon's Tower and get several things that will allow her to finish both Ice Palace and Swamp Palace. Oh, although Ice Palace is a pendant.
Yeah, and since Hammer doesn't open up much else, and we already saw them try to get into Ganon's Tower on the right side, I imagine that's what they're thinking. We'll see very shortly. Hopefully for them, that's what they decide to do.
And we have a finish in the SRL channel. Frame finished in first place with 150 and 4 seconds. Coincidentally, Frame is the one player that I was talking about that I know has played this mode several times.
Yep, it's not surprising for him to be coming in first in this race. It's also good news for us as viewers. We saw that, Gannis Tower seemed to start unfurling this chain. It looks like that's going to continue. Once PinkKittyRose gets there, we'll see where it goes. But now it looks like I've cursed Bali because I said he might not have trouble with the bow based on where it was, and here he is with Turtle Rock marked off as completed and no bow in sight. Rusty is picking up his cane.
The 11 p.m. race is a key sanity. When I looked at the schedule, the channel that it will be on has not been determined, but it is a key sanity.
And Rusty was slow to the Dark World, but he, most importantly, hasn't been trolled by any items yet. And if he keeps continuing this route, he'll get that hook shot to lead into the next part. So, since our two bottom runners are both missing a key item that it's unclear when they'll find it, Rusty might actually be pulling up into second place of our restreamers if he just keeps going in his current route.
Well, I'd be surprised if he can pass PinkKittyRose with... She has the bow, she has the hammer now, she's in the right place to get the fire rod and the flippers.
All right, I think PinkKittyRose is going to be solidly in the lead of our restreamed runners. I really worry when Bali is going to get that bow now that he has Turtle Rock off of his mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misheard you.
But yeah, Rusty will be picking up his hook shot here. Just needs to make his way to Turtle Rock to get that bow, and he'll be in good shape.
Yeah, to answer an old question in chat, I would not be surprised if no one else finishes for another good 20 minutes.
We see a much faster Ice Armos fight from PinkKittyRose, with the benefit of the bow with the silver arrows. And actually, this is kind of what I described before. They came in here with not everything to do all of the parts, but by the time they leave, they can full clear it.
So we have Bali in new territory, getting into Swamp Palace with the flippers and the Drain Dam for the first time. Do we know if PinkKittyRose has drained the dam?
I have not seen her drain the dam, so that might be a hold-up on their part.
And the dam was at the Bonk Rocks in the behind Link's house.
Correct. I'm really not sure how much Rywek has left to do that's not blocked by the mitts. We know that the bow is cane locked, which is mitts locked, so he might be running out. And really, PinkKittyRose is in item go mode potentially if Eastern Palace can be found with what they currently have. So this is one of those entrance shuffles where you enter into item go mode prior to entering into knowledge go mode.
Yeah, of our restreamed players, PinkKittyRose has a pretty strong lead, it looks like. Whether Recitador or Bali will be second depends a bit on when they get to the items they're missing.
Yeah, exactly. PinkKittyRose, if they realize their current situation, the right play after finishing this climb here is just to go try to find Eastern Palace as soon as possible. At that point, they can just go mode every dungeon that's left and go kill Ganon.
So Frame is in chat, and he has finished. He is spoiling where Eastern Palace was. That must be the Mire entrance. He's saying that Mothula drops Quake, which leads to Eastern Palace at the Mire entrance. Is that correct?
So newly opened entrances for PinkKittyRose would be the back of Skull Woods. I would expect them to run there first just to see if Eastern Palace is there. At this point, then it probably is the case that Mire would be their last shot.
Rywek's about to confirm for us what Mothula drops.
So Rywek will be doing the sequence break we talked about earlier. Got the setup just fine. You can actually get it for free if you put your back up against the wall on the left and just move over. But he didn't need to do that. He got it as quick as possible. I think Rusty is stuck trying to figure out how he has to go to Turtle Rock. He may have done every other thing he can do besides the backwards navigation there.
If you're able to keep track of everything these players have done, you are a true hero, sir.
Well, I know he did like a systematic move around the entire Dark World, and I also saw him do Mire, so I'm expecting him to be out of things fairly shortly, if not already. Desert. Here's something he has not yet finished. So yeah, Rywek does get the Quake Medallion off of Mothula, so I guess it's really going to depend what PinkKittyRose decides to do first. Mothula, it's not a crystal, so I could see them full clearing Swamp and finishing off a full clear Turtle Rock before checking there.
I also think they found that entrance a very long time ago. It will be a challenge for them to remember where it was.
Although we are getting to the point of the race where the options are starting to becoming more and more limited. So while the Swamp Palace full clear is probably what's going to happen, after that, there isn't that many great options, and a Mothula that has 2 items behind them seems pretty good.
Well, Eastern Palace is in fact bow-blocked, at least by the logic. Rywek did a sequence break to be able to kill Mothula. He lit the torches with just the lamp. Logically, you need the fire rod, which is itself bow-locked.
And it looks like Rywek has exhausted everything that's not midst blocked. So I don't know what could trigger his memory that he never went to the fortune teller's shop, but I hope something does.
Recitador also might be in the phase of the game where he's stuck and he thinks he's done everything.
Yeah, Bali is still doing things. So to the extent that he, just keeps progressing, even if Turtle Rock is his last return check for the bow, he'll get there eventually.
And this is one of the places Bali needs to be. He wants to get a sword out of here and he wants the flute.
I'm sure Pink Kitty Rose was not happy to see that that was Quake on the Mire entrance. So probably just the back of Skull Woods and the Mire entrance are left for the connected entrances.
Bali checked Spike Cave earlier and it had rupees or something.
Yeah, Spike Cave was not important. I think Pink Kitty Rose was like, well, I'm probably in item go mode anyway, and that, I'll get stuck in there, so let's just put that off.
There are a lot of rupees or something in this game.
There sure are. Rusty is still thinking of things that he has not yet done, so that's good for him. But he really needs to get back to Turtle Rock and get. I mean, it's a rough call going all the way back to that one chest when you don't have the fire rod, but that's what our runners have to do.
Have we seen any of our runners enter somewhere that takes them straight to the front of Turtle Rock?
Not yet.
I wonder if that's Ganon's tower.
It seems fairly likely at this point. I also don't think I've seen anybody come out of the vanilla, what's it called, laser bridge entrance. So that could also be it, maybe.
So Pink Kitty may have inferred that she needs another item. So it looks like she's going back to Spike Cave to see if that has it. No one on our screen can possibly have gone into the Mire entrance right now. Nobody has all of the things they need. I don't think Rywek has been able to exit there and use Quake. Oh, you're forgetting they're unlinked though. Tile.
Right. If you exit the front entrance of Turtle Rock, you would come out in Mire. But that's not where you would go in.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rywek has decided he has in fact exhausted all the possible places he could go and he has forfeit from the race. When you get stuck the way he was, the only thing that you can really do is full clear the world again, and that's a daunting and unpleasant prospect, and people prefer not to do that sometimes.
Right. Particularly true in Entrance Randomizer.
Do you think you want to see if you can bring him in for an interview? Tell him the bad news?
I'll ask him here in chat and see if he wants to come in. Says he doesn't want to come in for the interview, but he'll be in chat.
So between Bally and Recitador, both of them need to get to the front of Turtle Rock by going backwards through it. At least so far as we know.
Yeah, the primary difference is that Bali keeps having other things that he can do. Although he might start running out. He still has Pendant Skullwood, Pendant Ice Palace, and Pendant Mire. But he is running out of options. Resi, I think he's like he just forgot, and he's in Turtle Rock. So let's see what he does now. So this is potentially good. He'll get the vanilla big key chest and hopefully continue on towards the front.
If I were in this race, I would have my mind stuck in key sanity mode, and I would always try to save keys. So I might get trolled by this bow the same way the rest of them are. I would not want to use my keys to go to the front from the chain chomp room.
Yeah, so PinkKittyRose, good news, found the dam. Bad news, that means they will be full clearing Swamp Palace prior to finding the Quake Medallion. Or Eastern Palace in general.
Alright, so he's doing what he needs to do. He's on track.
Yeah, this is really good for Resi. What we saw PinkKittyRose do a little while ago, I expect to see Resi start doing the exact same thing. Go do Pod, go do Gannis Tower.
And he appears to be upset.
He's upset, but he still has a presence of mind to see where this dumps him out, which is actually a really good check at this point, just in case it's something important. Yeah, Firame in chat. Every one of our runners except for Baliame or Bali, they use their keys in the front of Pod and were unable to get the hammer. So the intended Dark World route was actually Aga 1. The other three did that intended route. So what we're seeing here is Rusty is making the steady progress we saw PinkKittyRose make just a little bit ago. Bali is searching everywhere for that bow. And PinkKittyRose is probably searching for Eastern Palace. Not committing to doing a dungeon yet, but trying to find Eastern Palace first. Although it looks like now we're going to see the completion of Turtle Rock. It looks like we're getting a check of the fire rod chests first. I'm not sure how many items were left in here, so assuming that there's some items left, this is probably a good check. Assuming that PinkKittyRose thinks they need the Quake Medallion, which it's looking like they do.
Yeah, and Bali just exited out the laser bridge exit. And going back in turn, took him to the laser bridge. So I think that confirms that the front of Turtle Rock is at Gannett's Tower.
And we also just got confirmation that the back of Skull Woods is not Eastern Palace, so that does seem to leave Meyer.
Recitador once again with some rage slashes at the item he could have had 2 hours ago.
Generally, when I found myself in a spot like that, I'm like half frustrated to find the item and just half happy that it's over, you know? I think Ressi has lost his mind because now he's pushing the statue towards the Samaria block. Poor
Yeah,
guy.
you only need one of those.
We've all been there, Ressi. You've got this. And Bali looking for the bow, and he doesn't know it yet, but Quake, you're in Pendant Ice Palace.
And although this is new territory, there can't possibly be anything we need here. It's a very unpleasant thing for the sea to do, by the way, to have it such that nothing required can possibly be in Ice Palace or Swamp Palace.
Yeah, that's a little rough. It does dangle that 2-item Mothula out in front of you, which is pretty nice, but you're still fairly likely to go do Swamp Palace first, I think. It wouldn't be a bad check though, even if you hadn't finished Swamp Palace. But yeah, it's it seems to give you all those items once in this nice chain, and then you're left to search for the last couple of things. Nice bomb jump from Bali. So here's the search for Eastern Palace, coming up empty. And that should be confirmation that Quake is required.
Yeah, so it's now been more than 30 minutes since the first place finish, and there has not been a second finish at all. We suspect that it is at Myron. We have had it confirmed by our first place finisher.
Right, and at this point, I think we've seen every single entrance that they can access, now that we've seen the back of Skullwoods. I would say based on that frustrated / surprised dance that PinkKittyRose had after going into the vanilla Skullwoods back entrance, they know it as well.
At this point, since they've done the major trick that this seed requires, which is getting the bow, I think it's very unlikely that either of our two runners in the top row will forfeit.
Yeah, at this point, it's very unlikely that they'll run out of things to do. They're going to progress through the seed. I would expect Ressi to do the same thing PinkKittyRose is, which is full clearing swamp instead of, going to that pendant Skullwoods where Quake is. But yeah, they'll get there eventually.
To answer a question in chat, in all entrance modes, when Ganon and Ganon's Tower are shuffled, the way that the goal works is you must collect all the crystals and sometimes also defeat Aghanim too, depending on the mode. Otherwise, Ganon will be invincible in the forced phase, and he will taunt you, telling you that you are not done yet. You have not completed your goal.
And given that this is a Madness seed, it actually is, sadly, in logic, although I don't think I've ever seen a seed that it's been required, but in Madness and Insanity, it could be required for you to take Ganon to the fourth phase, drop down the hole, and then exit that exit to access an otherwise inaccessible entrance.
Good stuff. So someone is reminding me that Bali has sequence broken to that hammer, and what I thought would end up being a lead in terms of items has really just allowed him to do everything else except what he needs to do to find the bow.
Yeah, and I further cursed it when I saw that it was in Turtle Rock. Oh, he'll have to go there pretty soon. I just realized something. It's fairly likely that he'll get Quake and then full clear Eastern Palace too. That would be unfortunate. So Pink skipped the left side, which in Madness or Insanity, since you get dropped out somewhere else, you automatically leave the screen that Swamp is on, so you will have to redrain that first room when you come back in.
Farame is bringing up an interesting point in chat. He's asking whether the mirror was, in fact, ever required for anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think any of the required items or entrances were only accessed by the mirror. It's always a handy convenience item, but perhaps not technically required.
Yeah, the mirror is a really important item in the full shuffle that does not decouple entrances. There are several sort of troll locations that you have to mirror to get to. But Madness, because of the large loops, most places are usually accessible without the mirror. There are only a few single entrances like the Mimic Cave and the Checkerboard Cave locations that require the mirror.
All right, so PinkKittyRose's next choice will potentially be very important.
And we have our second place finisher, Alucard 2004, finished in second place with a time of 2:30 and 28 seconds.
So Bali has his Quake medallion, which is good because it's required, but I think he's now going to go full clear Eastern Palace. So the best choice PinkKittyRose could make would be to go to the back of Skull Woods. However, Ice Palace is available too. Rusty's making his way up through the gauntlet, following the path that the items laid out. Once again, we'll see what he ends up doing once he's out of here. He's just Eastern Palace away from Go Mode as far as he knows. Unfortunately, that will require one more item. As now we have official confirmation on Bali's stream that that is indeed where Eastern Palace was hiding all along.
So Pink Kitty is probably looking for, well, she's looking for the well, probably. She's taking the drop. But what I think she might want is one of the dungeons she hasn't beaten yet. Now, Frame pointing out something I hadn't realized, which is that the end of Skull Woods was one of the singular entrances that I was talking about. When you enter, you go into Skull Woods, and you exit the same place if you take that exit. So you have to go to that specific location in the overworld, and remember that you have not been there.
Yeah, and I know I've seen multiple runners there, but I don't know if Pink Kitty was one of them. And Rusty had a little bit of trouble with Moldorm too, but gets him down, going on to Agate 2.
Unfortunately, we have our second forfeit from the race. This is a very hard mode and a very hard seed for this particular mode, requiring a couple specific tricks.
We're seeing a recheck of the big chest here in Thieves Town. I think PinkKittyRose knows that the Quake Medallion is what she's looking for. It's just making the right choice and killing Mothula for it. This isn't a bad check by any means. I hope that as long as she has found Skull Woods, having 2 items for 1 boss kill is pretty high value, so hopefully they make their way there pretty soon. And it looks like Bali is continuing to do everything except for go back to Turtle Rock.
And there we have our third place finisher at 2 hours and 37 minutes flat. Kababesh in third place.
Yep, Kaba plays a lot of entrance shuffle, so it's no surprise to see him among the top finishers here. And it's, PinkKittyRose is right where she needs to be, so this is great. Now, the fun thing with entrance shuffle, Ganon shuffle in particular, is they end really quickly. So once you hit go mode, you could be done in like 5 minutes, and we might see something like that here.
Yeah, so PinkKittyRose should finish in 6 minutes, something like that. We're coming up on 11 o'clock. I don't know what the restream is going to do at that point. We have scheduled for 11 p.m. a Key Sanity on this channel. I don't know if that's still going to happen on this channel. Also, elsewhere on Speed Gaming, we have a Zelda 1 randomizer race between Chess Jerk and the Green Leaf Effect on Speed Gaming 2. Later tonight, the only other thing is a Mega Man X any percent race between Butterfinger, 1084, and Reebs. That's at 1 a.m. in 2 hours. So we'll at least stay for Pink Kitty to finish. I don't know what we'll do after that at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and since we are coming up towards the end of our broadcast time, these runners have put on a great show for us. They've suffered through this seed and done a great job of getting through it. So if you like what you saw, feel free to give them a follow. I'm sure they'd appreciate it, and they have definitely done a nice job of entertaining us tonight.
Alright, so Fiesel says that we will continue with these racers for as long as they want to go, and the Key Sanity will move to Speed Gaming 4. That is happening in about 15 minutes. Celebratory bombos on PinkKittyRose's screen.
Yeah, celebratory. Now she does need to find the big key. I'm not sure where that was when Bali came through here, but it's right away. So nice go mode, Eastern Palace ahead. Looks like Rusty is weighing his options right now. He's trying to find Eastern Palace. I think that's what he was doing, and well, he's not going to find it with what he currently has. So it's just a matter of what he decides to do when he starts searching for items again.
Well, since what he needs to do is get to Mothula, it wouldn't hurt him to go checking some of these entrances. If he flutes to one, he's on the right track. That's not one.
And PinkKittyRose picks up their 7th crystal. So we know Ganon is at the Vanilla Magic Bat Cave. Really easy to get to with a quick flute. So we'll be finishing this up really quickly. And as PinkKittyRose enters the Ganon fight, I think Resi just came to the conclusion that Meyer is where he needs to get to find Eastern Palace.
And as is common in Entrance or Keysanity, you are very well equipped for the Ganon fight once you finally get there.
Nice, quick, clean Ganon fight. And PinkKittyRose finishes in 4th place with a time of 2:43.06.
And only 40 seconds behind, Super Nintailor finishes with 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 50 seconds.
All right, we'll be bringing PinkKittyRose in for an interview. Hey, GG. Congratulations.
Oh my god, it's done. It's done. Oh. Why did it have to be Meyer? Of all the places, why did it have to be Quake as well?
How did you feel about the bow that you could, or excuse me, the hammer that you could have had much earlier, but you ended up keylocking?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Depending on how you decide to use your keys in Palace of Darkness, you could either not have to do Aghanim, or you do have to do Aghanim and go most of the way backwards through Turtle Rock to get the bow. That must have added like a half an hour to my run, just trying to figure out how to get around that problem, because once I get the item from Palace of Darkness, I went to Ganon's Tower, and there was everything!
We have concluded that the front of Turtle Rock was at the Ganon's Tower entrance, so no matter what you did, you had to wind yourself all the way back through Turtle Rock to get the bow. But at least one of our runners was able to get the hammer earlier.
Yeah, it's just like, when I saw the hammer there, it's just that moment of, that just cost me like 30 or 40 minutes at least. Because once you get the hammer, you could go left side GT and everything was K. But until then, yeah. Oh, and then I couldn't find Quake, so I just kept looking and looking. Finding the dam was also kind of difficult as well, because it's in one of those two places behind Link's house that nobody really thinks of very much.
Did you take good enough notes that you felt like everything was easy, that you remembered everything?
Yeah, I was actually able to get where I needed to relatively easily from wherever I was going. Sometimes it was slightly more roundabout, but I got pretty detailed notes on all the important spots around the overworld. And once I had the items, getting to the dungeons was no problem, because I had those detailed and marked. Yeah, normally I don't bother with notes with these, but when it comes to madness and insanity, yeah, those ones I'll take notes for. How's everybody else doing on the restream anyways?
So, interestingly enough, our one runner that got the hammer and skipped Aga Tower still does not have their bow because they skipped it, and they never went all the way back to the front of Turtle Rock. So,
oh no!
They have been doing everything, and now they're in Aga Tower themselves. I'm guessing to check what's in Lumberjack Drop.
Oh no! I want to say that's Magic Bat because that's the only overworld location I didn't have accounted for.
It is indeed Magic Bat.
And I was thinking of where have I not dropped, and then I ran it again, and it's just like, oh right, he wasn't in the grave like I expected him to be. Whoops!
How early did you find the Kakariko well drop?
It took me a while. Like, I didn't go into the Skull Woods area for quite some time because I was exploring all the singular exits of the Dark World first. Because those ones, I can at least check off some items, and I found stuff like the hookshot that way, so it was good. I was getting increasingly concerned when I was like an hour and a half into the run with no medallions.
Yeah, I mean, you did a great job of making steady progress throughout the seed. It's just, you ended up having the item that you needed in like almost the last possible spot a couple times, which is a little rough, but you still made progress, so that's all you can really count on, right?
Yeah, the important part is I can understand the maze, and that allowed me to go to new places time and time again to find what I was missing. I was just reluctant to go to the pendant dungeons because it's like, I already cleared out Meyer, Skullwoods only had one thing in the green pendant, and then I was debating ice for a while because it's like, why haven't I gone in here yet? There's 3 items. Pretty much the second I saw that it was Quake for Misery Mire, though, I knew that that's where Eastern Palace was. It just sucked. Oh well, at least I could use a P on the moth again. He was too busy camping in the top for me to kill them normally.
So did anything else stand out for you with this seed?
Mostly I love what the hammer proposed on that one, because that is super interesting that it would end up being you either have to do Aghanim or you don't, depending on your key choice. The dam was hard to find, Eastern Palace was annoying. But other than that, for a Madness seed, this wasn't too bad. Although I find it kind of funny that my, entering into the Dark World involved me doing a bob jump in Paradox Cave of all things to get to the other exits. I don't really care about sequence at all when it comes to entrance randomizer. I just want to find things. It was I guess one thing is that you didn't really have a whole lot of... I might be thinking of something else I did today. Not a whole lot of safety there for a while. I get pretty beat up in Turtle Rock going backwards the first time. That normally doesn't happen, but I also normally don't have to do Turtle Rock backwards.
No, we saw a lot of deaths, especially I think we saw some people in Thieves Town with no safeties. Some people had to go through and clear without the hammer and had to end up going back. I think you did that.
Yeah, it's just like, please tell me Quake's not here. It wasn't, thank goodness.
And speaking of our other runners, Rusty has been following on your footsteps. He got trolled a little bit by the bow, but he eventually figured it out. He also, a lot earlier, got trolled by the lamp being a bottle vendor, but now he's just finished his full clear of swamp and is deciding where to look next. I think he came to the same conclusion you did, that he needs to find Quake.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's on moth, so it'll probably be another 20 minutes looking for that. Oh, you guys saddled up for a long one, didn't you? I'm allowed to look at the restream now. I'll take a peek. What's everybody up to? Oh. Oh, poor Rywek. Yeah, he has no idea what he missed, and I'm curious if he figured it out now.
Yeah, so Rywek actually missed the Light World Fortune Teller above Kakariko, which was Meyer shed with the first glove.
Oh no! Oh, it's even worse when it's one of the single exits, because those are the less confusing ones to check off.
Not having that glove really set him back, so his first glove ended up being in Paradox Cave. And the question he was asking about the logic was whether doing the super bomb as the bunny was required, or could be required, and he in fact tried that. It was not the answer.
I mean, that's kind of amazing that you could do that, though. Entrance randomizer causes a whole bunch more possibilities, which is part of the reason why I like it so much.
So Bali is checking the magic bat. We'll see what they do after this comes up empty.
This will probably be a big 20 or something. There were still quite a few of those left. Harpies, whatever.
So how much experience would you say you have with these modes, either Madness or Insanity?
This was my first Madness seed. I did one Insanity seed before that and cleared it in a slightly slower than this current one. Not by much, though. It was around the exact same time. I did... Go ahead.
How much of the other entrance modes have you done?
I've done one simple and one full that I was on the restream for last week, so not a lot.
Yeah, that would make this really challenging for you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I knew to have my notes ready because this is a lot harder to keep track of than full. And other than that, I know where all the entrances are in the game, it's just a matter of going through them. And at least this time, I didn't leave an item behind that was at the start of the game, like during that full scene where the hookshot was in the shop to the right of Link's house. And I didn't get it until my last item.
So we have our 6th and 7th place finishers. We have Elminster with 2:52 and 49 seconds. We have Maximum Barnage in 7th place with 2:53 and 42 seconds.
Well, congratulations to the both of them for surviving this. Come to think of it, the bow was another nasty one in the previous one I did, where in order to get it, you had to find a Turtle Rock entrance, go all the way down to Laser Bridge, and then the Laser Bridge exit took you to that ledge where Bump Cave item normally is, and that's where the bow was. So Turtle Rock enjoys its bows lately.
Yep, and on the restream, Rusty picks up his 6 crystals, so he does have Turtle Rock marked off now. It's just a matter of getting into Mire.
Oh, somebody send him the moth vibes. Make him think that there's one flying around the room that needs to be dealt with. It's especially taunting that Turtle Rock spits you out in front of Mire, by the way.
That's a very good point.
It's like, oh, you need to go here, do you? Too bad.
Yeah, so once again, the Key Sanity race at 11 p.m. is going to be on Speed Gaming 4. It should start up any time now.
Yeah, I figured this one was going to go long. It's Madness Entrance Rando, and it was a rough one. Like, this is way harder than most of the seeds I've seen for this. Ugh. For now, though, I think I'll leave you guys to it, and hopefully Recitador and Baliame can actually push through this one.
All right, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being on the restream. And you played great. Have a good one.
Congratulations on finishing a very tough seed.
I'm stubborn, so I would have kept going either way. But anyways, have a good night.
So we have Recitador. Oh, he's been here already. Excuse me. It's Bally that needs to go to Turtle Rock.
So yeah, Rusty seems to be getting his last few items out of Turtle Rock, which is good. He'll know that this is fully cleared. He won't find Quake here, but he'll know that this is something he can check off. And after that, it's just a matter of what he decides to do next. And Bali has got to be running thin on options that are not returning to Turtle Rock. So we'll see. We'll see if he makes that play.
It's interesting that they can be so far into this and still be finding things that are not the answer.
It's usually around this part of the run where you resign yourself to just, I'm going to find it in the last spot. It doesn't matter where I check first. The answer is going to be in the other place, so...
The bow is in the front of Turtle Rock. It is in the single chest surrounded by spikes on the left. In this seed, you need to go backwards from one of the later Turtle Rock entrances and go backwards through the chain chomp room to get to it. So unfortunately, Bally was just in what... Well, let's see if he does this. This is what he needs. He's trying to clip through the railing, which you can do from the bottom. He can also just go up through the door and then to the left.
Yeah, the clip through the railing is when you don't have the big key yet. So he figured it out. He's good to go, and most importantly, both of our runners right now are exactly where they need to be. And Rusty leaves. Oh no!
No, don't do that.
Oh, he went back in. Do it.
Yeah, so he's confirming that it is a lone entrance.
Yeah, do it, Rusty. No.
Yeah, Kapow is pointing out that Bally did in fact need that key to be able to progress further, I believe. I believe this is an item in the chain chomp room, so you had to get the key out of the big chest to be able to get to the front of Turtle Rock.
So at the very least, Rusty knows where Skullwoods is. Hopefully he makes his way back there very soon. He was right there.
Yeah, I don't understand why he would go into Skullwoods, see that there is an unopened chest, and not go for it. I guess he thinks there are still other possibilities for the eastern entrance.
No, but he already did Swamp, and he's back in here.
Maybe he just overlooked the unopened chest.
But with that bow, Bally is now in go mode, and he already has the big key here, so he just has to go kill Armos Knights, and he has most of Pod cleared. I'll just need to pick up a small key on the right side, and finish off that. On his way to Ganon.
Yeah, and I'll make the call appropriate for this point in the race. Ugh, finally, go mode.
Yeah, at 3 hour go mode, you're like, okay, at least I can finish now. So I'm not entirely sure why Resi decided to do left side swamp instead of Mothula. Both, I believe, have 2 items, but Mothula is actually a lot faster. However, now that he knows Mothula is there, hopefully that will be his next check. It is certainly more appealing than Ice Palace.
Do we remember where Sahasrara was? He may not want to... He may be thinking about where that is.
That's true. Yep, Sahasrara was in the ferry on the Dark World Death Mountain on the left side. So that nice out of the way spot.
We have our 8th place finisher, Dr. Bob Tastic, with a time of 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 26 seconds.
Resi used his rage slashes and walked right by Swag Duck. I'm sure that really improved the situation.
At this point in the race, we have had 8 finishes. We have our 2 restreamed racers. There are 4 other racers still going. And we have had 2 forfeits.
Bali realized he needs to pick up a small key over here, so he did a quick mirror to retrace to this part.
So Recitador still just needs to find Quake at Mothula, and we're concerned because he went in that entrance and well, there at least was an unopened chest on his screen that he should have seen, but he exited without going for even that chest.
And we have our... Oh, go ahead.
We have our 9th place finisher who says, "Send help." Plasma Kappa finishes with a time of 3 hours, 5 minutes, and 25 seconds.
So I think Resi has to be running low on options that are not dungeons. He might still have the Dark World shopping mall available.
It looks like he's going to go pick up Bombos. The silver arrows probably lag because each of the individual sparkles is a sprite. The game has trouble drawing so many sprites on screen at once.
And Bali gets their 7th crystal, so we have a Ganon fight coming right up. Ah, yep. I'm jumping the gun here. Bali was not able to do Aga 2 because he just got the bow. So it's going to be a more traditional finish for them. Aga 2 and then the Ganon fight.
Yeah, do we know if Recitador has done Ganon's tower upstairs?
He did. Actually, if Recitador ends up at Skull Woods next, it could end up being a pretty close race on our restream. But it would have to be his next move. So it does look like he's pulling up Bombos. I don't know if he knows this is Bombos. If he doesn't, that's fairly trolly to get the one medallion you're not looking for. Especially when you've checked, 95% of the game.
Now, when I'm out of ideas, I'll do things like check that while I'm trying to think of what next to do.
So that very well may be the last of the non-dungeon things available.
Quick swap is quick item swapping with the shoulder buttons L and R. It looks like Bali has forgotten quick swap, as he said he would at the start of the race.
I mean, Rusty has been doing good checks. He's been doing guaranteed items that he left behind, like Hobo and Magic Bat. And so his plays are making sense. It's just, I'm not sure why he would have left Skullwoods when he did, but ever since then, he's been making good checks. So he might have just had other stuff that he wanted to do first.
Yeah, I don't understand doing the left side of Swamp before those other things, because that's so slow. But this hopefully means, and getting that magic hopefully means, that he has not forgotten Skull Woods, and he may be heading there next.
Yeah, I mean, that's some nice game knowledge there. If you have the boots, you go bonk that tree, you get a full magic pot.
I'm not sure if he's trolling us at this point. He bonked off the wall right next to where he needs to go.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that he might choose Ice Palace first. I don't remember where that was, but please don't choose Ice Palace first, Rusty. He's choosing Ice Palace first.
I believe everyone knows where Ganon is. Ganon is at the drop you need to go into is where the magic bat is.
Yeah, I really think that Skull Woods is the optimal play here because you get 2 items in about, a minute and a half to 2 minutes versus 3 items in, it depends. If Cold Stare has an item, it could take you a good 6-7 minutes here.
Well, right now the entrance randomizer is developed separately from the main randomizer that's linked on the ALTTP ALTTP.run site. So the link to the most recent version of the entrance randomizer is actually one of the developers' GitHub pages. I will get that in a minute.
Yep, there is a website-friendly version that removes a few of the options that you can use on the standard website, but the standard load program has quite a few more options with it. And Bali is on the Ganon fight. Got bodied a little bit by the bats, but should be enough health to finish up here. And we have our 4th arrow into Ganon. And Bali finishes in 10th place with a time of 3:15:22. And they'll also be joining us for an interview. Hey, Bali, GG.
Hey, thanks. Bow mode hasn't been this frustrating since 1999.
Yeah, that bow was a little bit rough for you.
So on our restream, you were the only runner to use their keys to get the early hammer in the back of Palace of Darkness. However, what it appeared to do to you was force you to go everywhere else except where you needed to go to get the bow in Turtle Rock.
So where was the front entrance? I've never found that.
We're nearly certain that it is at Ganon's Tower.
God damn it. I died to the chomps, and I was like, if that chest is not a key, then okay, fine, and it wasn't, so even that couldn't have led me in the right direction, but mostly I was lost looking for one of the entrances that I found earlier, the one with the troll, and I didn't know how to get on the Mimic Cave ledge thing. So I figured, okay, if it's in Turtle Rock, I've lost this game. So I did literally everything else. And it was in Turtle Rock.
Everyone else did Aghanim 1 to get to the Dark World. And you did that last, knowing that, or thinking that, the magic bat was at the lumberjack drop. You had to use powder.
Had to be. I ruled out all the other holes because they were left in the Dark World. But I was still confused at the time because I know I didn't find 2 holes. And one of them was well. And then, just because there was a pre-race talk and someone said, oh, no, Skullwood's holes should be the same. But the moment I realized the well is in Skullwoods, I figured, okay, that was stupid anyway, because I found part of Skullwoods in the Light World, so an associated hole in the Light World has to be Skullwoods, so those aren't vanilla or like shuffled amongst each other. But still, like, I figured that a bat has to be Light World because I found the front of it.
So were there any other do you have any other thoughts other than the bow trolling you? Any other things that stood out?
Oh, I think Quake may have been not particularly kind, but otherwise I think for the last 2 hours I was missing Eastern Palace and bow. So I probably would say those 2 things.
Yeah, right now Recitador is doing everything else except what he needs to do, which is go to Mothula to get Quake to find Easter.
I assume nobody else quasi-blindfold.
I think we may have had a few other pedestal checks, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we did get a pedestal check from PinkKittyRose, but that's all I think we saw.
So I really liked how Ganon's Tower was just so good this season.
Yeah, it was a very traditional entrance shuffle Ganon's Tower. Once you got there, the whole seed pretty much finished. Except for like 1 or 2 things.
And everything was logically blocked by the bow because you could keylock yourself. And then Hammer was there, blocked by the bow, and then everything in Ganon's Tower was locked by the hammer.
Wow. Well, yeah, that early edge may not have been an edge then. Like, ouch. Didn't even think about that, but yes, the entire left side was locked behind Hammer, and I don't even remember where Samaria was. Oh, it was chest, purple chest.
Right, but also it's considered blocked by the fire rod, which was behind ice armor, so that was also hammer and therefore bow locked.
That's actually ridiculous.
It was pretty ridiculous how much was blocked behind that bow logically, considering where it was.
Yeah, so Recitador here is finally on the right track. He'll get Quake. He finish Eastern. He doesn't need to do Ganon's Tower. He should finish up in less than 10 minutes.
Rusty just staring at it for a second. Perhaps in disbelief. That pretty much just sums up this seed. You use the flute to get the swag duck, and the rock just knocks you out of where you need to be.
So I hope everyone in chat has seen this race and this interesting entrance mode and cannot wait to try it out. I look forward to seeing many of you in the community races.
We get a nice little bit of rage from Resty here. Just burning down the entire Eastern Palace. It's fine. The good news is it's an early big key here, so he'll be able to just go mode the rest of this. Except he forgot. Okay, no, he almost forgot to grab the big key, but he didn't. This is just one of many entrance shuffle modes. In my opinion, it's the hardest. It has all the stuff to keep track of, like insanity, but it also has like it tends to have much more crazy restrictions that come up throughout the play. So you kind of get like really siloed into certain progression here. I certainly prefer full shuffle. Some people prefer simple shuffle or restricted shuffle. There's all sorts of different shuffles you can try out.
Yeah, most of the community races are full shuffle, where this linkage in the creational loops doesn't happen. It's more of a straightforward overworld navigation.
So any other thoughts on the seed, Bali, or anything else you want to say?
That was ridiculously fun, despite how it looked. And I want to do more. I don't know, I may have Stockholm Syndrome here, but, you know. Hope to see Insanity someday, because that's even better.
Was there ever a point where you were stuck, and you didn't think you had anything left to do?
Not at all, I think. I was, like, ridiculously bad on the routing, so, like, up until... No, I wouldn't say there was any point, because Turtle Rock was in the back of my mind the whole time, and it was the very last place I checked, obviously. So no, I think I was fine. There was a lot of paper checking. You guys should see my notes. It's horrendous.
And that's another question I wanted to ask everybody, which is, how much experience do you have with this mode in particular and entrance in general?
Played about 15 entrance randos by now, I believe. I played one Insanity, but no Madness. So not a whole lot of experience with it, but I knew the basics, so I immediately knew I need a pen and paper and need to jot down all of the chains, or I'll never find anything ever again.
And Rusty drops into the Ganon fight, so just a few short phases away here from our last finisher on stream. Ganon also being pretty kind with the teleports today.
We deserve it after all those blue balls.
One more arrow. Some final frustration slashes. And Recitador finishes in 11th place with official time of 3:26:52. GG. All right, Resi will be joining us in a moment here for an interview. We still have a few runners going in this race, but there were 16 total. A couple of forfeits, but still 3 going, I believe.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Resi, how you doing?
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there. That seed was something.
So what stood out?
The Dark World access that I was pretty sure that I screwed up for at least half the seed.
You mean key locking yourself out of the back of pod where the hammer was? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, so at least 3 of our players did that, and the one who didn't ended up checking everything else before going where they had to do to get the bow. So that ended up not being too bad of an error to make, because it forced you to get the bow.
Yeah, it seemed like there was just a couple roadblocks on this seed. I think your first one was the lamp, and then the second one was the bow, and then final one was Quake.
Yeah, I went into Skullwoods thinking it was out of items just to get the green pendant, so...
Okay, that makes a lot more sense then, because we were wondering why you walked in there and left. But if you thought you had counted both items, that makes a lot more sense.
So you stood there upset with Quake on the ground there that you could have had several minutes before going into many slow individual locations.
Yeah, I guess the good news is that despite, I guess, probably screwing up how I was supposed to get to the Dark World, that I managed to break my way back through eventually.
So do you remember how long it took you to get to the bow?
Sometime after Farhan finished, that's for sure. It was a long time.
Were you worried about key usage? Is that how you ended up being late to it?
I think at that point I was just so screwed up over the seed that I was just, I don't know, I was just wandering around and hoping for the best. So, I mean, it was kind of an accident that I even found the bow. Or managed to make it through any of that Dark World at all. I'm glad Aghanim was on the table as an option, because I could have had issues, I guess.
Yeah, as far as we know, that was the actual intended route. It's just that you could, through key choice, sequence break it.
Yeah, so we have our
yeah, I guess you're right.
We have our 12th place finisher, someone 325, is finished with a time of 3 hours, 31 minutes, and 27 seconds.
That was actually one of the more intense seeds of this type that I've done. The other ones have been a little more forgiving.
Yeah, something I wanted to know about all of the racers. How much entrance experience would you say you have in general, and with modes like this in particular, either Madness or Insanity?
I do a lot of entrance key sanity. I don't do a lot of Madness or Insanity. I've only done, like, I don't know, a couple of each of those. So, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess.
I think compared to many other runners, you have a little more experience with the lesser modes of entrance.
Yeah, I've done a lot of the full and simple. I guess I need to do more madness so the next one doesn't break my brain.
So do you have any other thoughts on this seed?
Just that I'm glad that I managed to finish it despite all of the weird things you had to do in it.
Alright, so I think we're going to wrap up. Koruk, do you have anything else?
Just want to say thank you to all of our runners. Everybody put on a great show for us. If you enjoy what you saw out there, give them a follow. They did a great job working their way through this monster of a seed and put on a great show. Also, thank you to our trackers who did a great job with this crazy format. I'm sure it was very difficult to keep track of. I know it was tough just to watch everything at once for a while. So thank you to them. And also thank you to my co-commentator Haikytype. It was a lot of fun, and this was a good matchup, good restream. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. And thank you to Feasel for putting on all of this. I think we're going to send you over to one of the other races going on right now on Speed Gaming 4. There's a Key Sanity in progress. And on Speed Gaming something 2, Speed Gaming 2, there's a Zelda 1 randomizer race.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.
Yep. Good night, everybody.